I want to talk to CTOs of 60, 70, 80, 100-person engineering teams. You've grown your engineering team. You made it through the chaos of startup life. You may have inherited this team and things should be flowing. But instead, you open pull request after pull request, and each one looks like it was written by a completely different company. Sometimes it has. Your code base has become the Tower of Babel. Everyone's speaking a different language and nobody can understand anyone else. And here's the thing, it's costing you millions. Let me show you exactly how much this chaos is costing you. Grab your calculator because we're doing this together. If you're a 100-person engineering team at an average fully loaded cost of $200K per engineer, that's 20 million a year in salaries. So now watch what happens to that money. Every feature takes 3 extra days for code review because reviewers are decoding someone else's style. You ship maybe 20 features a month across all teams. That's 3 times 20, 60 developer days lost every single month. Remember your last hire? How long did it take them to ship real code? I love how we always say we'll have them fix bugs to get started with and to get to understand the code. But if you think about it, it probably took them 2 months longer than it should have because they're not learning your code base. They're learning 100 different philosophies. 20 hires a year, 2 months each. That's 40 developer months gone. What about debugging? When every module follows different patterns, everything takes 30% longer. With 100 developers, that's like 30 of them just disappeared. Total damage, $6 million every year. You could hire 30 engineers with that money, except that would just make the chaos worse. So you might be thinking, well, that's not us. We have standards. We have AI. Really? So let's test that. You're the CTO, so go open 5 random pull requests from last week. Go. You can do it right now. I'll wait. Can you immediately tell they're from the same code base? Or do they look like somebody took code from GitHub, Stack Overflow, some vibe coding agent, and that contractor from 2019 and mashed them all together? Here's another test. Look at your last 10 code reviews, count the comments, and how many are about actual business logic versus why did you name it this way, or we don't use that pattern here, or the eternal spaces versus tabs debate. If more than 20% of your review comments are about style instead of substance, you're paying senior engineers senior salaries to be human linters. That is insane. So how do you fix this without starting a civil war? Because let's be honest, telling 100 developers to change how they code is like herding cats. Angry cats. So, week 1, don't dictate standards from on high. Run analysis tools across the entire code base. Find out what patterns 70% of your code already follows. You're looking for the path of least resistance. Week 2, form a standards committee. Okay, so I said committee, I'm sorry. But, and this is crucial, 1 person per team, and they must be people who actually write code, not architects who write documents about code. Week 3, your standards document needs exactly 3 sections and it must fit on 2 pages. Anything longer and nobody's going to read it, and if it's shorter, it's going to be useless. So, section 1, the robot rules. These are automated. Formatting, import ordering, file naming. Computers enforce these so humans don't have to fight about them. Section 2, the merge blockers. Clear, measurable rules. Functions can't exceed 50 lines. Files max out at 300 lines. Public APIs must have documentation. Break these, your code doesn't merge, period. Section 3, the strong suggestions. How to handle errors, how to structure tests. You can break these rules, but you better have a good reason and you need to explain it. So with that in place, in week 4, automate or die. If it's not automated, it's not a standard. It's a suggestion. Set up pre-commit hooks, CI pipeline gates, IDE configs. Make following standards easier than not following them. Now, here's where most companies fail. They try to rewrite 5 million lines of code to match new standards. That's like renovating your house by burning it down and starting over. Instead, use the Boy Scout rule. Leave the code better than you found it. If you touch a file, update it to standards. This means your most used code gets fixed first, and that weird script nobody touched since 2019, that can wait. Measure and celebrate progress, but don't shame. Show a dashboard. We're at 40% compliance, up from 30% last month. Make it a game, not a punishment. When you implement standards, here's what you get back. That's 60 days a month lost to reviews. You'll save 40% of it, 24 days back, instantly. The 40 developer months lost to onboarding, cut that in half. The 30% debugging tax, reduce it by 20%. That's $4 million recovered in year 1. And unlike hiring more people, this compounds. Your code base gets cleaner, your team gets faster, your engineers stop wanting to throw their laptops out the window. If you're running a 100-person engineering team without enforced standards, you're not running an engineering organization. You're running 100 individual coding experiments that happen to share a Git repo. You can start this week, not with a grand proclamation or a 50-page style guide. Start with automated formatting and a 2-page document. Build from there. Because in a year, when your code base has doubled but your team can still understand it, when new hires ship code in 2 weeks instead of 2 months, when code reviews actually review code instead of debating style, you'll wonder why you didn't do this sooner. Choice is yours. Lose millions to chaos or invest a few weeks to save your sanity and your budget. Cheers.